The Rialta Owners Group of America is proud to present another Tech Talk video. The Rialta Owners Group of America is a non-for-profit hobbyist site and group which retains all rights and privileges to this video.
This is kind of awkward. I was supposed to do a video with Jamie about de-winterizing. This is where I left her last fall. Jamie!
Hey Alex, is it spring yet?
Been in there all winter?
All winter waiting for you.
Helpful hint, guys. You're not supposed to be part of the winterizing, but
Well, you know,
she looks none the worse for wear. Ready to make a video?
I'm ready to make a video.
All right, let's get some coffee.
I like coffee.
Well, we're underneath the hood with Jamie Gebhardt, and she's going to walk us through what we're doing to get this thing ready to fire it up. Jamie, what are you working on right now?
Okay, so we're going to start with checking the battery. I've had it on a battery minder all winter, and it's also maintenance free, so there's no water for me to check the levels, but if you don't have maintenance free, make sure you check your water levels. And next we're going to move over and check the antifreeze. The engine is cool right now, so we want it to be at least to the minimum marking on the antifreeze reservoir, which it is, so I'm good there. Next, pull the dipstick and check the oil. Make sure the oil is at its proper level at the bottom of the dipstick, and that looks like it's good as well. Next, we're going to check the power steering fluid. Can look inside, but you can also see on the outside it's got two markings for the level. One is for a cold level, one's for a hot, and it is at the marking for cold level, so we're good there as well. So welcome to spring, everybody, and in a few minutes we're going to take you inside and show you more on how to de-winterize.
Now, a few other things that Jamie took advantage of the time over the winter to do was she ordered new cabin filters, and she also, before she tucked it away completely for the winter, went ahead and had the paraffin undercoating done all throughout and underneath the compartment and all the sensitive areas by a professional garage. So that's all set and ready to go. So why don't we go ahead and move on inside?
Okay, let's do it.
Just a reminder, if you put mothballs in your Rialta over the winter to stave off the little furry creatures, remember that before you touch anything that can create a spark, get rid of them. The off-gassing from mothballs is ether, and ether is explosive, so take them out of the compartment and ventilate well before you check any of the interior electric.
Okay, now we've moved to the interior to check the coach batteries. A couple of reminders. Make sure that you wear gloves to pull the caps off the water reservoirs, and eyewear just for any potential splashing. Pop off the caps, and which I've done, and you can look inside, and the levels are perfect. I did have them on battery minders all winter, which I'm sure helped, and the same with the second coach battery. It looks full as well, so we're in great shape there. So far, that's making me very happy.
Now keep in mind, if you need to top off those coach batteries, you don't have to put them back on the charger at that point, because this is the last thing that we're going to do before we start up the motor to let it warm up. And these coach batteries will charge while the engine motor is operating. So topping them off, you actually are putting a charger on it.
Okay, we are now on the inside. Going to start up Harmony, and while she's warming up, Alex and I are going to check the pressure in the tires as well as in the air springs. So here we go. We're going to get her going, see if she fires on up. Purring like a cat. So we're going to warm her up and check the outside.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and check the pressures on this, but before we begin, a couple things about air gauges. First off, your regular domestic air gauge is only going to go up to 50 psi. The standard tires here go up to 70 as the requirement. But the other important thing that you have to look at is this little tip on the end. Now, on a good air gauge, these are actually put out to that distance for good attention. What this is the minimum safe tire depth. You actually put this tip inside the tread of the tire, And if it goes all the way in and you don't see any of the white exposed, then your treads are considered to be of a safe depth.
All right, next we're just going to check the pressure, make sure that we haven't lost any air or not too much air over winter. And it pushed it way out past the 50, which is an indication there's at least enough air in there, probably the proper amount to pull it out of its winter storage space.
We're going to go ahead and we're going to check all 4 tires before we start, and then we're going to check the air springs. And the air springs, when you're not loaded up, should be between 25 and 30. You shouldn't jam them up to soften your ride on a regular basis, because when you raise the back end of that above the center of gravity, you're going to have a problem with what's called whale tailing or fish tailing, where you could actually lose control at high speeds, in curves, or in high winds. So the whole point of the air springs is to make sure that when you're under a load that you can bring the back end up. And that's so you can jack it up like a funny car racer, so keep that in mind. Okay, now when checking the air springs, it's important to note the location of the filler points. They're right in front of the rear tires. So Jamie's going to go ahead and she's going to remove the clean cap off of that. Helps keep all the moisture and debris out.
All right, let's see what we've got, Alex. Right on 30 pounds.
30 pounds, so we're right where we need to be. Always make sure you keep clean dust caps on these things. They are dust caps. They don't help keep the pressure in. Their intention is to keep all the dirt and the grime and all the other stuff. And if they're cracked, make sure you replace them right away. So before Jamie stored Harmony last fall, she put some seafoam into the tank, which is a gas treatment that helps keep spark plugs and other things from getting gummed up. If you remember that video, what we did before we stashed her away is we also made sure that we ran some of that gas through the generator, since the generator does feed off the primary fuel tank. So we got some into the filter. You can see the filter here is nice and clean. We've checked the oil. The oil's where it should be and it's nice and clean. And we're going to fire it up and see if that seafoam did what it did and kept the carburetor clean, so that we have our boondocking generator. Jamie, you want to give it a shot?
All right, this is what makes me nervous. Seeing if this will fire up.
Well, we're getting ready to roll Harmony forward here, but a couple of things you need to understand is over the winter, those discs and rotors got a coating of rust on them. So we also want to check the brakes. So after you first put it in gear with your foot on the brakes, you're going to want to go forward and pump that brake just gently, just a couple of times, to make sure that you do have compression on those brakes and you are stopping. And then as you go down and back up the driveway a couple times, what you're going to do is you're going to ride the brake gently just a little bit. This is to clean off the oxidation off the rotors and the drums so that you can stop the vehicle when you need to. You don't have to do this throughout the year. It's just after storage that oxidation does build up. So, Jamie?
All right, let's see what we can get going here.
So last fall, she went ahead and treated the seals with silicone seal treatment. How did that open up for you, Jamie? Was that all right in there?
Perfect. Not didn't stick at all.
Perfect. We'll get the rest of them open, start getting some air inside, and then we're going to start checking for critters, and we're going to go ahead and evaluate the plumbing.
Okay, so here we are on the inside. We've opened up all the windows, freshen up, or Get out some of the mothball and Irish Spring that was in here to keep the critters away. Gonna check under the seats real quick. I unplugged the hot water tank, so I'll plug that in a little bit. Just check some wires where I know there's wires. Look for any sign of chewing or gathering of insulation, and I can only see that it's very clear under this seat, so that's another good thing. Okay, so one of the more important things is to remember to plug back in your LP gas detector that should have been unplugged so that it didn't drain on the battery. And I left it right in the space where it goes, so I didn't have to worry where I put it, and we can just plug it back in and we'll be all set for this season.
All right, so up to this point, what we've done is we've checked all the batteries, we've checked all the fluids, we went ahead and warmed it up, we've checked the brakes, we've checked the tires, we've checked the air springs, we've opened up the windows, we're getting some ventilation going on inside, we've checked for critters and chewed wires, and all that's been really good. At this point, what we're going to do now is we're going to get ready to check the plumbing system. So, Jamie, what do you got going on?
First thing is that we're just going to take off the dust cap off of the city water outlet and screw in a garden hose. And it's always best to have two people around when this process is being done. One will be on the inside and one will be on the outside at the water faucet in case there's an issue where it needs to be shut off quick.
Now, the reason that we use the hose instead of filling the tank first is because we want to pressure test the system before we go ahead and load up the tank full, because the tank has valves on it for opening and closing. Remember, we also have potable antifreeze in these systems, and we're going to flush that out as we go through here as well. So we're all connected up.
We're connected.
She's going to go inside and she's going to test the fixtures while I man the water spigot so she can tell me when to turn it on and turn it off so she can test and run those fixtures. And we're going to want to run those until we get the air out, until it runs clear. And then after we do that, we're going to shut all the systems off while it's still pressurized to see if we have any leaks through the systems that we'll see from the outside or from here from the inside. And then at that point, it's not done yet, because then we need to run the water until the smell of that potable antifreeze goes away. So, you ready?
We're ready.
All right.
Okay. Okay, so we've hooked up the city water line. We're going to turn on the faucet that's closest to the water pump. We're not turning the water pump on because we're connected to the city water for pressure right now, but we're going to start with the sink. Going to push out the air. And you can see that there's a lot of pink coming through, which is good. Should I open the other one? And open your cold water as well. And it's getting there, still pink, a little bit pink. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing in the bathroom. Turn on the hot side, let the pressure push the pink out, and turn on the cold. And while that's coming through, draining out the antifreeze, it's going to give the toilet a good flush. Oh, and that did real well. One last thing, remember, if your toilet or your bathroom comes equipped with the sprayer to clean out the toilet, keep it nice and clean, don't forget to give that a good spray. On my unit, I actually have to pull the handle for the toilet in order to get water. It will not spray without pulling that handle, and just make sure that there's no pink left in the sprayer tank. and we're good.
Don't forget that the whole idea, what we're doing with hooking it up to the city water, is we're pressurizing the entire system first with a consistent, stable pressure to make sure that no leaks developed over the wintertime. If there's any water that was left untreated in the line and it froze and expanded, it could have very easily fractured the line. So we start closest to the pump, as Jamie said, and then we work our way to the most distant. If your unit happens to be equipped with the outside shower, as Jamie's is, that's the last one on the line to go through. So we're going to go ahead and pull that out.
All right, you want to make sure that you open up both lines. And there we go. We're getting pink through here as well. So we're going to clear that out a little bit. Make sure that it's just about devoid of the pink antifreeze. Okay, so once we've pressure tested and filled the water system, next you want to come inside and check your comfort systems, which would include the water heater by flipping on the switch and the furnace.
You also want to be able to check out your air conditioning. If you want to check the air conditioning up in the cab, you can do that after the engine warms up, as long as it's well above freezing outside, and that should be fine. But remember, warm up the engine fully first. As far as the rooftop unit, you don't want to test that until it's at least 65 degrees Fahrenheit for 72 hours. The reason why is oil and refrigerant can separate, and when you fire it up, you might be actually firing up on a dry compressor, which blows the unit. So, not all units are created equal. Some may have different materials inside them and made up of in a different composition or different engineering. General rule of thumb in the industry, 65 times 72, and then you can test the unit. At some point in time, after you've gone ahead and checked out all the mechanicals and the exterior lights and your fluids and the other things, you need to check the comfort system that you're going to use when you actually get to wherever you're going. So you're going to plug in the shoreline, make sure that all your breakers are in the on position. None of them are tripping, that they all stay in the on position. You go ahead and test all the systems, with the exception of the AC, depending on the temperature, of course. Then after you've checked it on the shoreline, put all that away, and you need to check the boondocking connections. In other words, you need to fire up the generator from inside and then go through the same system. So let's see if the generator fires up from inside on the remote panel.
All right, fingers crossed.
All right, at this point in time, we go ahead and we'll check all our lights, check all our outlets and everything else that we need to do, and then we'll move on to the next system. Well, we've gone through the entire system. We did the electric we started off with,
Yep.
And then we checked all the fluids, and then we went ahead and we checked the pressures in the tires and the air springs, and we've done our plumbing. We went around and we did our check of all the lights.
Yep,
we did the rolling test on the brakes. Is there anything else that we got to do?
Yeah, we need to take it out for a weekend, I think.
I think that's probably the next thing that's due.
That's the next thing.
We have a tremendous rally season coming up that is posted in the events section on the Roga page. So none of them are our events this year, but we're invited to all of them. So make sure you take the opportunity to do that. Jamie, I wish you a happy and a healthy and a wonderful event season, and appreciate you hosting us today so we could put together another video for the members.
It's my pleasure. This is, I learn off the site from other people's posts, and I hope a lot of people will use this video to get their RVs ready for the season.
Outstanding.
My pleasure.
Enjoy your Rialtas, enjoy the season, always
Absolutely.
be safe, and we'll see you the next time. Thanks so much. I'm Alex.
I'm Jamie.
And happy motoring.
Wish you a great summer, great season.
You know, we have a lot of fun making these videos for everybody to look at, and they're not just entertaining, but hopefully they'll give you some useful information. And if you happen to be in the Western New York area and you have your Rialta with you and you have a question or something, give us enough advance notice and we'd be happy to put together a video with you as well. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Rialta Group of America and check out all the videos we have there. Jamie, what do you think? What should the next video be?
I think the next video should be where are all the hot spots for coffee in this area, so I can actually get something in my cup.
Sounds like an idea. Maybe on the next video we'll do a road trip or two.
There you go.
Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Alex.
I'm Jamie.
You guys have a great time. Be safe, and we'll see you on the highways.
Happy trails.